As we all know, there's a lot of activity around AI in general in the world today. And the ability to really leverage AI within the restaurant ecosystems has been a challenge. The numbers don't lie. The ability for AI to actually generate ROI of your solution is critical. What are the biggest mistakes when QSRs modernize their tech stack? So I would say probably to start with would be overall the level of support required, level of integration with the various tech stack components and solutions is a major challenge and a major hurdle. I think just overall too, managing the overall complexity of the tech stack is a big obstacle, is a big hurdle. When you're also bringing new solutions into the tech stack, sometimes we see insufficient piloting or testing of those solutions. And that could really cause a lot of harm and do a lot of damage in terms of the overall operational ecosystem within these restaurants. So what should operators prioritize first when upgrading infrastructure? I would say probably the biggest challenge is just making sure you have a stable foundation of existing technology in the restaurants. We see it time and time again where it's very hard to build a building, build a house, build a skyscraper without a solid foundation. And we see quite often these foundations are not stable. The support is very questionable. But then these organizations try to layer more technology onto an already broken, fractured foundation, and that usually doesn't work very well. So if I walked into a 500 location brand, there's two things that stand out to me. First off, what I would do is I would talk to the crew, the restaurant managers, and also, if possible, the ownership or the franchisees of the organization. They are your best level of feedback, best level of input, and they will tell you because they live it every day in terms of what's working and what's not working and where there's opportunities for improvement. That's a huge part in it. Quite often, it seems so common sense and so logical, but it's often overlooked. And then number two, the need for that stability of that existing framework and that foundation in the restaurant is very, very important. So how has digital ordering reshaped the tech stack? There are numerous order points now that if you look 10, 15, 20 years ago, there was only probably one or two order points, right? So now you think of yourself as being a crew person, restaurant manager, operator of these organizations. You're getting orders and you're getting input coming at you from multiple channels, right? Whether it's delivery, whether it's online, whether it's front counter, whether it's kiosk, whether it's drive-through, and the ability to manage all of that within that technology ecosystem is critical. So where do brands get it wrong today in terms of overall technology support? I think one of the key parts here is overall restaurant readiness. And again, stability of that existing IT infrastructure within the stores. Again, you want to have a consistent foundation. If you don't have a consistent foundation, it really does not make good business sense to layer more solutions on top of a fractured ecosystem. I think too, the ability to train and educate the crew and the restaurant teams are also critical. Your solutions are only as good as the execution within a restaurant by the crew. So first off, it's not easy to keep all of these points in the air, so to speak. It is a balance. It's a balance of trying to obviously meet the financial objectives of the restaurant, the goals, while maintaining the operations of the restaurant, right? And various restaurant organizations focus on different elements. Some restaurant chains will focus more on the customer experience. Some restaurant chains will focus more on speed and throughput. It varies within the organization of what the overall objectives are. But it's always a balance between operations, marketing, finance, and IT. It's always a tricky point, and it's always a challenge to balance. As we all know, there's a lot of activity around AI in general in the world today. And the ability to really leverage AI within the restaurant ecosystems has been a challenge. I always say the numbers don't lie, and the ability for AI to actually generate ROI, a return on your investment of your solution, is critical. As well, too, the ability for AI to be integrated within the restaurant ecosystem and to also be on a stable platform is very, very important. Some of these AI concepts out there today are being, I would say, over advertised and probably over marketed in terms of the true ROI and the payback that's currently out there. Support is always a challenge. The overall support infrastructure within that ecosystem is something that's often overlooked. Next one I would say is crew training and adoption of new technology is something that's usually not given the attention it should be. Operational consistency is another big part of the growth. And I think just the overall organizational alignment within the organization. When you have roughly 50 restaurants and you scale to 500 plus, that is a big stressor on the overall ecosystem of that organization. So what works at 10 locations but fails at scale? When you're running a 10 plus or minus 10 restaurant operation, there's quite honestly a lot of tribal knowledge that exists within the ecosystem, and the support infrastructures, the overall processes don't need to be scalable. But as you start to scale, the ability to train your crew to be able to have that support ecosystem that we've talked about, and just the general operational excellence becomes more and more critical as you grow. The ability to have that support infrastructure is critical in the operational excellence of what I call the core operations within a restaurant. So if you're able to maintain the core infrastructure and the operations, then obviously the ability to innovate on top of that becomes more and more important. It's not easy to keep the two in balance, is probably a good word, because everyone seems to kind of run to the shiny new object all the time. The core infrastructure is what keeps all these restaurants operational and keeps them afloat. The shiny new objects just add layers of operational efficiency, financial benefits, what have you, but you have to have the core in balance and supported. I would say there's probably 4 key areas here. Number one, this overall support infrastructure. Support is just critical. It's quite often overlooked. It's not the sexy, shiny object, but it is the basics and the foundation of the restaurant operations. Number 2, I would say training. Training is just becomes more and more critical as you scale. The ability to train crew, management, staff just becomes more and more critical within the ecosystem. Number 3, the ability to integrate new solutions with the existing tech stack. As you grow, your tech stack is likely going to be larger, more complex. The ability to weave new solutions into that tech stack, it can be done. It's sometimes easier said than done. and then last but not least, number 4, just I mean, it's always about the economics. It's always about the franchisees. The ROI and the payback and the financials absolutely have to be there when scaling any new technology solution or deployment nationally.